check in with Michelle Tafoya.
All right, Brad. Well, all season long, San Antonio's young point guard, Tony Parker, has heard the rumors that he could be replaced next season by another kid, specifically Jason Kidd, who's a free agent this summer. And here they are matched up in the finals. So all week, Tony Parker has been bombarded by questions about Jason Kidd. And Greg Popovich told me his young point guard has handled the situation beautifully. But Popovich admitted he's not exactly sure what's in Parker's gut or in his head. So they kept him slightly more sheltered from the media today, hoping he can enter his first NBA Finals game with as little distraction as possible. But Greg Popovich told me he has no concerns about Tony Parker. His final piece of advice to him: you don't need to hear from me anymore. Go out there and run the team. Now over to Stuart Scott, who's with the Nets.
Michelle, Jason Kidd's not talking about free agency. The only thing he and his teammates want to talk about is winning a championship. About 6 different Nets told me that last year against the Lakers, they were in awe. They took it as fun in games. This year, nothing but the title will be acceptable. Jason Kidd didn't want to accept congratulations for winning the Eastern Conference title. He said, we're not done yet. And one Net player, a reserve, told me, oh, we're going to win the championship. No question. Brad, it is a different story than last year.
No doubt about that. They feel much better about themselves. As we mentioned, they've won 10 straight playoff games, 5 straight on the road. But during the course of the regular season against the West, the Nets were only 15 and 13.
Talking to Greg Popovich, the keys for San Antonio: keep Jason Kidd out of the paint, make him beat you with his scoring, not his passing. Get New Jersey's front court, particularly Kenyon Martin, into foul trouble, single cover all the Nets, straight up, no gimmicks, transition defense, and then sustain the attack with no missed free throws or no turnovers of omission.
Yeah, the big thing to me is going to be their transition defense. And, you know, we haven't talked much about San Antonio as a running team. If you want to run, they can run with you. They can go.
And now we're going to have the honorary toss at center court with 2 very familiar figures to these organizations. Mike has mentioned this is the first time in history that 2 former ABA teams have met in an NBA championship round. And when you think about the old ABA and you think about the Nets, you think about the doctor, Julius Erving. He'll come out to represent the Nets. And on the other side, a guy that he played against in the semifinals in 1976, the last time these 2 teams met in a playoff, the Iceman, George Gervin. There's a picture those 2 guys will cherish. And it's stolen by David Robinson. In that series, the Spurs against the Nets, Julius Erving 5 times in the 7 games scored more than 30 points. The Iceman had 30 plus 3 times.
And in the final game, it was George Gervin who outscored Dr. J 31-28 in a 7-point Nets victory in the 7th and final game.
I'm going to take a wild guess and say Dr. J and George Gervin didn't have to go to the sporting goods store to get their retro jersey.
I think they just went in the closet. Joe DeRosa, Nick Bavetta, Joey Crawford are officials. Joe's got the ball in hand. Jason Collins, David Robinson playing either 4 through 7 of his final games of his career were underway, and it's the Nets. Pull-up jumper by Kidd. They did it in games 2, 3, and 4 against Detroit off the opening tap, and they do it here tonight.
Obviously, Greg Popovich has not worked on the jump ball defense for San Antonio.
Just like that, the crowd is quieted, momentarily at least. Here's Tim Duncan for the first time, trying to feed David Robinson, and a foul on Collins from behind.
And these guys work high-low as good as any big man combination that's been in the game over the last 7 or 8 years. They each look for each other, and they know where they're going to be.
You can easily make the argument that this is the greatest twin tower alignment in NBA history.
And David Robinson, who took Tim Duncan under his wing, a very long wing, if you will, and helped refine his game. And they have played beautifully together, including a '99 championship.
Terrific off-the-ball defense by Kenyon Martin.
Tony Parker, pull-up jumper. Kidd got a hand at his face, and Jefferson clears it for the Nets.
what the Nets might have accumulated in rust over the last couple weeks, they may make up for an experience. This team has been there before, and in talking to Steve Kerr, he said you can't impart knowledge, you just have to go through it.
If Jason Kidd had any rust, he just poured some 3-and-1 on it. He's got the first 4 points. Duncan in the low block has it poked away from Kenyon Martin. There's Steve Kerr, who with 4 3-pointers helped put Dallas away in the Western Conference Finals. And he's been there a bunch of times.
He told me he was so nervous in Game 1 of the Finals. Said it's the same game, but it's a different game.
5 on the shot clock. Jackson, not a good shot. Here comes Jason Kidd in a hurry. Martin around Duncan. Duncan got a hand on it.
Terry Kittles, as well as Richard Jefferson, has to shoot the ball for New Jersey. Greg Popovich forced to take an early timeout. Byron Scott saying he was very curious about how the start would play out with the 10-day layoff. The rhythm, the timing, where would it be? Obviously, the Nets, just like Detroit, just like Boston, they are razor sharp.
The Nets brought that timing with them from New Jersey, obviously. In the opening couple of minutes, they lead 6-0. Jason Kidd with 2 field goals, and Jefferson just forced the timeout a moment ago.
Well, Jefferson, I thought he should have taken that jump shot right there. He actually made a much more difficult shot, dribbling right in to Tim Duncan. Better off than just to take an unmolested 14-footer.
The perimeter shooters for New Jersey did not play well in the Detroit Conference Final Series. Kittles, Lucius Harris, Rodney Rogers, Richard Jefferson, those guys have got to shoot better. Unfortunately, they're playing against the league's best defense here. New Jersey's best percentage shooter is Lucius Harris at 42%.
Here's Jackson, who took a terrible shot last time. A better assist. And Tim Duncan out of the timeout, a chance for a 3-point play.
Well, that's what Steven Jackson, and he's been doing it all year long, has given them. Maybe not as good as Sean Elliott, who was here a few years ago, but he gives them that guy who can penetrate, draw the defense, and just dump it off for the easy finish.
And Kenyon Martin with foul number 1 already.
An ill-advised foul. You've got to stay at home with Tim Duncan. There's those questions about young shooting.
That's probably his biggest, if not only, downfall.
The inability to hold leads as well. And where is the crushing response when the other team makes their late game charge?
Jason Kidd hit his first 2 shots. That one's a little too strong, and Bruce Bowen will clear the glass. See if Tony Parker settles down now.
Well, Martin's doing a nice job of fighting Tim Duncan. Oh, good
Terry Kittles, nice defense. And look at the pass, trying to spin it ahead to Kenyon Martin. Wow. Even as a turnover, it looked pretty good.
Kenyon Martin is so fast.
Jackson flying through the lane, and the former Net scores his first basket.
You always notice the Nets, too, even when the opposition scores, they're looking to push it up. Maybe not real fast, but they're always looking for an easy opportunity. In the half court, who's going to be able to step up for them and get them those buckets?
Jefferson had it stripped by Parker going through the lane. They'll say last touch by Tony.
Richard Jefferson determined to get to the free throw line by attacking the rim. Against Boston, he shot 7 free throws per game. In that sweep, he shot 7 free throws total against the Detroit Pistons.
Martin's going to have to take a 3 with 2 on the shot clock. Here comes Tony Parker. Collins grabbed his jersey. No foul called. Chance to tie things up. Inside, Parker.
Kenyon Martin is doing the right thing by staying at home with Tim Duncan. Jason Collins has to get more active and come and block some shots, or at least get in the air, put some fear in the minds of the penetrators for San Antonio.
So each team has run off 6 straight. We're tied at 6. Kittles, double team. Now Martin trying to penetrate with a left hand. Nice move.
He hangs up in the air so long, he's able to switch hands and makes a shot that's very difficult. Looks pretty easy.
Has anyone made more progress and grown more in the last 18 months in the NBA than Kenyon Martin?
I would say last 4 months, he's been incredible.
And David Robinson ties it up.
Steven Jackson's getting into the lane far too easily. Richard Jefferson has to tighten up. Make him beat you from the outside.
8 minutes to go in the quarter and tied at 8.
Nice dribble handoff by Jason Collins.
Kittles with a pull-up around a screen and knocks it down. Kerry Kittles.
The big guy's got to jump out and at least put his hand up. He's got to help, especially the guy like Kerry Kittles. You want to make him put the ball on the ground.
Tony Parker short-armed that one with a couple of big guys in front of him. Neither jumped in the way of the shot.
What a pass.
Kittles, baseline, blocked by Duncan. He'll take it after he got it back. And here comes Duncan with a rebound.
Look at him go.
The 7-footer dribbling up court himself. To his 7-1 partner on the low block, and Robinson. Air ball over Collins.
Run with him. Kenyon Martin, Collins, Jefferson.
Kidd with a crossover, runs right into Parker.
Well, Jason Kidd didn't have any options that time. He was leading the one-man fast break.
Kerry Kittles was trailing him. Jefferson over Jackson. Got it.
Tough shot.
4 for Jefferson.
And those are the type of shots as a defender you'll give up. You got to give up something. If you're going to give up an 18-foot jump shot, he's going to make it. You just say, nice shot.
Well, Richard Jefferson shot 53% against Boston. Only 40% against Detroit. Please, on that, take a shot.
6:57 remaining first quarter. Each team have had runs to start game 1 of the NBA championship.
The NBA Finals on ABC, brought to you by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down. Make it a Bud Light. Nissan and your Nissan dealer. And home. This summer, experience the incredible.
As you look at Riverwalk, it was almost a cakewalk for the Nets as they got to these championship finals over the month of May. They beat Milwaukee. They swept Boston. They swept Detroit. 10 days off between the end of the Eastern Conference Finals and the start of the championship. We talked to Byron Scott about it.
I think 5 days is too long to have off. You know, I would like to get it going as soon as the next series is over with. But you know, the thing that it does, you know, for us obviously is that, you know, we had to figure out a way to kind of keep ourselves going in those 10 days. And I think we've done a pretty good job of doing that. You know, we've had some real good practices. The guys have been very focused. So at this particular time, it could have been probably 2 weeks. It wouldn't have mattered because you're playing for an NBA championship.
One of the longest layoffs ever before a championship was to begin. And there you see it. Only the Lakers in '82 went a longer time off.
History shows that it plays both ways. The real key is that there's no injuries, there's no fatigue, and fortunately, no excuses.
Duncan on a drive off the glass. Robinson with a rebound, and he's tied up by Jason Kidd. Let's check in with Stuart Scott. Stu?
And that last time out, Byron Scott told his team that he liked what they were doing offensively and defensively, but he wanted his team to get out and run a little bit more. If you notice that last fast break, Jason Kidd was down, Kerry Kittles was down with them. The other 3 guys slow getting up the court. Just wants them to get out and run a little bit more, Brett.
It's hard to beat Jason Kidd down the court, that's for sure. He jumps with David Robinson, and the Spurs control.
But New Jersey is shooting 55% from the floor, which is remarkable because the Spurs have the best defense. Field goal percentage allowed and points allowed in the NBA playoffs.
Bowen lays it up off the glass for Robinson to knock home.
Well, David Robinson's been extremely active on the offensive glass, and Kenyon Martin's doing a fantastic job fronting, three-quartering, playing behind, giving Tim Duncan different looks.
It would go without saying, I guess, in a guy that's been around the league as long as David Robinson, but when he's had 5 days of rest or more, he plays better than any time during the regular season.
Jason Collins just has no touch for the ball. That left wrist is really bothering him in the locker room before the game. Heavily wrapped with ice, getting constant therapy on it. Just don't know how serious that injury is.
Jackson trying a 3. Here's Kidd with the outlet, trying to get it to Jefferson and stolen by Parker.
Well, he's going to make some mistakes in the open court. A few, but that's just the way they play.
And then he steals it from Parker and gets it to Jefferson for that.
What a defensive play. Jason Kidd has been on another planet in this game. The passes that he's tried to throw that haven't even been completed have been the most exciting ones.
How about how quickly he turns a steal into a fast break?
It's literally about 3 seconds before there's 2 points in the other direction.
Martin has to be careful. No silly fouls. He's already got one careless one.
He poked it away from Duncan, but didn't pick up that foul.
Kenyon Martin has the most to prove of any player in this series. He has the most to gain, but he has to show that he can play at the level that Tim Duncan lives by himself at, and that's the mental level. That world has been his for years now.
Greg Popovich went to his bench during that break. Malik Rose and this guy, Ginobili, in the lineup for the Spurs. And immediately, Rose not in there long before he picks up a foul.
Ran a little belly option between the tackles there. It wasn't stopping either.
And the middle linebacker was waiting for him. 14-10 New Jersey. A little over 5 minutes to go first quarter. Kidd right back to Martin. He's got an open look, but he missed the jumper, and Tim Duncan's all alone for the rebound.
Well, that's where they would love to keep them. They would love to keep them on the perimeter. Don't let them get back doors. Don't let them get easy layups. And in the half-court defense, so far they're doing pretty well.
Well, that pass by Ginobili wasn't the greatest, but Rose now has a turnover and a foul. Kidd with a miss. Duncan with a rebound.
Big men who can handle the ball.
Or did you see that with Kidd? I mean, he saw Duncan turn his back, and as soon as he turned his back, he used him as a screen to pick off Tony Parker.
The greatest of the greats in the history of this game have always used everybody on the court as a screen, as an asset.
We saw him against Detroit when Richard Hamilton turned his back, and it became an easy layup.
We're talking the level of Magic Johnson, Pete Maravich, Walt Frazier, Jerry West here.
Rose up over Williams. Tough shot.
Was that about 4 strips already?
Everything for San Antonio is going to the hoop. Pretty much if it's not in that fast break game for New Jersey, it has to come from the perimeter, and that's not a good sign.
Now Kidd is posting up Parker.
Taken to the hoop.
Backing him in, and now feeds Williams inside with a left hand, and Duncan's got another rebound. 5 rebounds for Tim Duncan already here in the first quarter. And here is the MVP. Trying to fade away with a shot, and he's pushed. Aaron Williams picks up his first foul.
Well, this could be one of those 4 or 5 ice bag nights for Tim Duncan. Is Aaron Williams going to put a body on him? Yep. Kenyon Martin's already shown he's going to put a body on him. And it's going to be a physical series for him.
Ginobili, constant motion, had it stripped away by Kittles, and now Kidd trying to get it to Carey in the open court. Nobody can find a handle except Parker. Tony Parker speeds his way down and had it blocked by Kenyon Martin. Now here come the Nets 3-on-2.
Beautiful pass by Kittles.
And a foul.
Give it back to the man in the middle. Kerry Kittles, so critical to the Nets' success this year in the playoff run for New Jersey. When he has scored in double figures, New Jersey is undefeated at 7-0. So critical that he gets off to an offensive start here.
So Carey goes to the free throw line. Kittles averaging just under 11 points a game in the playoffs, and this is a free throw. Coming up on the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report, Lisa Marie Presley live. Ahmad Rashad with a Jason Kidd feature, and Mike, Sean, and Doc will break down the first half. She had the place rocking during the rehearsal this afternoon. Kittle's got the second of 2.
She's not going blue sequence jumpsuit, is she?
I don't know. Maybe with the shades and everything. As long as she doesn't have the sideburns, we're okay.
New Jersey has to do a better job of denying penetration. Spurs are getting to the hoop too easily.
Rose stripped by Martin. Martin puts his hands at his side as if to say, I didn't touch anybody.
That's got to be a minimum of 6 strips and or blocks by the Nets. Really being active with their hands in the defensive end.
Quick hands, but that's also a fool's goal. If you don't start moving your feet, you are going to get burned. Rodney Rogers fortunate to draw that foul against Bruce Bowen.
Game track San Antonio. Their last 6 possessions, they have 4 turnovers and a shot that was ugly. It's the Nets leading the Spurs on the Spurs home floor with 3:11 to go. First quarter. We mentioned the Spurs 4 turnovers in their last 6 possessions. In our court sounds, Greg Popovich told his team, watch your ball handling.
Ball's got to change sides of the court, but we're picking it up and holding it, letting them get into us, getting back on your heels. Got to be aggressive. Drive that thing, but don't lose your dribble. Don't take one dribble and pick it up. If you're going to dribble it, go DHO it. So we keep the motion going and flowing side to side. Right?
Now let's go over and check in with Michelle Tafoya.
Well, this last time out, Greg Popovich telling his team, hey, we've only got 12 points. You guys are not going strong to the rack at all. You are far too soft. You've got to be more physical going to the basket. Otherwise, we're going to keep in this scoring drought all quarter long, Brad.
Well, the Spurs only have 16 field goal attempts, and Tim Duncan's only got 2 shots.
If you find yourself getting stripped down low, as the Spurs are, your elbows aren't broad enough. You're not leading with your shoulder or your head to protect that ball.
Lucius Harris is checked in for New Jersey. Here's Kidd. Missed it, trying to get his own rebound, and it's Duncan's.
Who will be quickest to the loose balls, Jason Kidd or Tony Parker?
Jackson, nice crossover dribble into the lane, and he's fouled.
Time and time again, Steven Jackson is just, he's standing on the perimeter casually, and then he just puts the ball on the floor, and there is no movement of the feet of the defenders for New Jersey.
Steven
That
Jackson.
explains a lot. He was protecting the ball with his head during his playing days. I'm understanding a little bit now.
Jackson hits the free throw. Log on to the NBA store on NBA.com to order Nets and Spurs Conference Championship gear. Love it live on NBA.com. Jackson got 1 of 2. Martin up there to snatch that rebound.
Greg Popovich said that one of the real keys in this series is for his team to get the front court for New Jersey in foul trouble. It has not been a parade to the free throw line for Tim Duncan, Malik Rose, or anyone else.
While Collins does have 2 fouls, Rogers in there for him right now. Kenyon Martin has only 1. Here's Kenyon offensively.
This guy's good.
Angry. He is good, isn't he?
What hands. What anticipation. And what confidence on the defensive end. He's just saying, hey, I'm going to guard Tim Duncan by myself.
Nets by 4. Ginobili trying to weave his way through with a left hand and does. The rookie with his first basket.
Has San Antonio made a perimeter shot?
Don't remember one.
I don't know if they've taken more than 2 perimeter shots. They've been either getting to the rim and finishing or getting to the rim and getting stripped. It's a tough matchup right here for Steven Jackson.
Harris blocked by Duncan.
Duncan always keeps the ball in play with his block.
That's his 3rd block shot already in the first quarter, fellas.
San Antonio leads the NBA every year in block shots per game. They did it again this year.
Martin off the inbound, had to hurry his shot because of the shot clock down to 3. Here come the Spurs with a chance to tie again.
Good D. That's 2 fouls on Kenyon Martin. A nightmare for Byron Scott.
Both the regular season games, he ended up with 5, and he's sitting there disgusted right now. And there's the look of his coach looking on, knowing that that's not a good sign.
The biggest problem is that neither one of them have been head-to-head fouls against Tim Duncan. And that's where you got to save your fouls for when you're guarding the league's 2-time MVP.
Let me qualify that last statement. It was good defensive recognition. Getting over in front of the offensive player, but that most certainly was a block.
And he's going out now as Jefferson will come back in. Spurs only 1 for 4 from the line, and Bill and Tom, that's been their downfall this year in a lot of ball games.
Giving away freebies.
Only got the second one.
This
Parker
is not
with
a
3.
team, San Antonio, that plays well as the favorite. They do not play well with the lead, giving it up so many times. They've already lost game 1 of 2 series this spring.
Rodney Rogers knocks down the outside jumper. No team in NBA history has ever lost a first game in a series 3 times en route to a championship. And they don't want to drop one here at home if they can avoid it. Jackson tried to pick and roll, and he threw it all the way over to photography row.
Well, he threw it where Tim was, not where Tim was going to be.
Tim was going to the rack. He went to the corner.
The interesting thing is that Jason Kidd has not been able to penetrate in the set offense against either Tony Parker, or now he's got Speedy Claxton for the first time.
Spurs with 5 turnovers already. And Kidd throws one of his own away. Steven Jackson on the break. Claxton trying to follow, and he lost the handle.
He's got to call that traveling on the Spurs, on Steven Jackson. He carried the ball next to his head on top of his shoulder. Greg Popovich not happy whatsoever with the execution. Very careless.
See how Kidd does his second trip down court against Claxton.
Oh, you get it up to the 35 mark, you get a 2-for-1 here, get the ball back and shoot yourself the last shot.
Rogers hit his last jumper, and he hits that one. Rodney Rogers 4 off the Nets bench, and their lead stretches back to 5.
Well, you forget this guy can flat out play. Former first-round pick out of Wake Forest. I mean, when he gets it going, offensively, he's a load down the block. He can also extend out to 3.
And it's Demon Deacon against Demon Deacon right now. He's guarding Tim Duncan.
One shot time for San Antonio.
Shot clock in the game clock virtually dead even. About 0.2 difference. Down to 10 remaining first quarter. Ginobili has a look. Jackson got his man in the air, and he's got an open jumper, and he knocked it down.
Why go for a pump fake against a guy who hasn't even taken an outside shot?
Kidd just before the buzzer, can't quite get it. So the Spurs get a nice play and a good shot from Steven Jackson to end the quarter. They're still down, but at the end of 1, New Jersey leading by only 3, 21-18. Spurs on their home floor at the end of 1, trailing. This is ABC Sports, home of the NBA Finals. Spurs trailing by 3. They might be lucky to be only down by 3, Tom.
Well, everything they scored has been inside. But with that being said, they have had a lot of great looks at the rim inside. You're going to see all the green dots. Those are made. That looks good. And then you start saying doink, doink, good, doink, good, doink, doink, good, doink, doink, good. And that's the only one from the left corner that won Steven Jackson. But that's 5 shots they've had at point-blank range that they have missed. They are getting the look that they want to get. If that continues, if they get that many shots that close to the rim, it's going to be hard for the Jersey to stop it.
All the pressure right now on Anthony Johnson in the ball game. Was superb in games 3 and 4 against Detroit. Beautiful back cut.
And Jackson missed again and close. Same thing that Tom was just talking about.
Let me add another doink.
It's not as if there's an intimidating shot-blocking presence out there for New Jersey.
Here's Harris. Ginobili on him. Got around him and tipped in by Williams.
That's what Bill was talking about earlier. You reach too often and people get by you. When they get by you, someone has to come over and help, and so on and so forth. You take a shot, you can't box out.
Rodney Rogers, there's just no way that he can guard Tim Duncan.
Here's Jackson from the other corner. Duncan trying to tip it over to Ginobili. It goes to Harris. The Nets started 5 out of 8 from the floor. They're 6 of 16 since.
We are seeing an extremely confident and well-coached New Jersey team.
Rogers hit his first 2 jumpers. That one's off the mark.
Oh, yeah, they might want to think about getting the MVP a couple shots. He's had 2 shots in the first quarter.
Rodney Rogers gets whistled for a foul in transition defense against Malik Rose. The hammer, the trip. Jason Kidd wondering how long he'll be sitting out. In years gone by, Anthony Johnson has not been able to sustain New Jersey's attack. Was absolutely fabulous against Detroit, Johnson.
Tim Duncan puts it in, and again a chance to add one. Williams has 2 now, as does Martin. Four Nets now with 2 fouls each. Martin, Collins, Williams, and Rogers. Those are the big guys.
A broken play for San Antonio going to the hoop. The patience on offense. I mean, you think about Tim Duncan. Is there a better word to describe him than patient? A 6-time All-Star, excuse me, 5-time All-Star in his 6-year NBA career. The only time he didn't make the All-Star game, they didn't play the game because of the lockout season.
10:35 as Harris try to lay it up with the left hand. Dikembe Mutombo. Deeks coming in. He hasn't played since what, Milwaukee? Let's check in with Stuart Scott.
I talked to Dikembe in the locker room before the game, and he's racked up 10 DNP CDs this postseason. And he said, look, I understand. I'm spiritually and mentally, I've been with this team even when I'm not playing, but now it's time to get my feet wet. This is what everybody plays for, the NBA Finals. He wants to get his feet wet. Here he is after only 33 minutes the entire postseason. Dikembe Mutombo, 8-time All-Star in the game, Brett.
Dikembe missed 56 games with torn ligaments in his right wrist. And you can bet he's happy to be in there with 10:34 to go first half.
He'll be ready. A diligent worker in all aspects. A tireless performer for so many years.
Johnson, nice job of the backcourt defensively. Knocked it away from Speedy Claxton. Now, how do you play? How much differently do you play, Bill, as a big guy? There's the 4 big guys each with 2 fouls each, and you got a long ways to go in the first half.
You come to your deep bench, and fortunately for both coaches, these rosters, which are mirror images of each other, go all the way to the last guy.
Claxton into the front court. 10:23 remaining in the half, and Anthony Johnson gets a cheap foul. That's his first.
I'm interested in the defensive strategy of putting Rodney Rogers on Tim Duncan instead of Dikembe Mutombo. Come with your best against the best.
Well, they might double team. Maybe one of those things where as soon as he touches it, Dikembe Mutombo, comes over and double teams.
There, Johnson a double team. That leaves Claxton wide open, and he knocks down the jumper.
I maintain that you're better off having a great star like Duncan beat you with his own scoring as opposed to his passing, getting everybody else into their game.
Boy, because he does as well as any big guy. Getting his teammates involved, that is.
Nice pass.
Jefferson going up is fouled by Jackson.
Yeah, Anthony Johnson continues to play heady ball.
Byron Scott has done a marvelous job with this club. Atlantic Division champions. Last year they won 52 games. This year 49. Got young guys like Martin and Jefferson, Collins.
They traded their second best player a year ago. Got literally nothing out of Dikembe Mutombo, who came in the trade for Keith Van Horn. And the team is vastly better because of this guy at the line right here, Richard Jefferson, who has emerged into an all-star level player. So good that Richard Jefferson is now on the U.S. national team.
And the maturity of Kenyon Martin.
Absolutely.
Jefferson who took the spot of Keith Van Horn. The guy that Bill alluded to, and you see his numbers and how much they've improved, and he has 8 points here to lead the Nets right now in scoring in the first half, and they're up by 3.
Well, it's funny. I think the reason they went out and got Dikembe Mutombo is because Shaq destroyed him last year in the finals, and they wanted to have somebody that could man up against Shaq if they happened to meet him again in the finals.
This is a very tough call against Dikembe Mutombo, who is just standing here watching the ball. How is that a foul on him? If somebody else runs into your elbow, that is not a foul on Dikembe Mutombo.
You saw Rodney Rogers backing away with his hands up as if to say, I didn't touch him either. He didn't want his 3rd foul.
I think I'd be asking for an explanation on that one.
Great defense, Rodney Rogers.
Rose over it.
If he's going to make that shot, you're in real trouble.
Spurs cut it down to 1 again with 9.5 to go, second quarter. And here's a steal by Rose. Spurs haven't led yet. They do now. You don't always have to be a #1 pick to contribute, and contribute a big way. Malik Rose was the 44th overall choice of Charlotte back in '96. He just came up with a steal of the night and the basket of the night. The first one to give the Spurs the lead tonight, 27-26. But the Spurs were built with some superstars in the Alamo City, including David Robinson and Tim Duncan, 10 years apart, #1 picks in '87 and '97. Then you mix in Ginobili, Parker, who was a late first-round draft choice, 28th overall. Then Kevin Willis, a free agent. Rose, we just talked about. Jackson, who bounced all over the league and all over the world. Same with Bowen. Those guys had to travel the globe just to get here.
Well, you got to give Popovich and his scouts a lot of credit. I mean, obviously, Tim Duncan was a no-brain first pick. But Tony Parker lasted till 28th. Anybody could have had Malik Rose as a free agent. A lot of teams would have got Manu Ginobili in the second round. Bruce Bowen, undrafted. Stephen Parker in the second round finds his way here. So to get these guys together and meld them into a cohesive unit, an outstanding job by the Spurs, Popovich, and the front office.
And it's a completely different squad than the '99 championship. Only 4 players remain.
Robinson and Duncan, 2 of those. Steve Kerr was another.
How long does Jason Kidd sit on the bench?
One more bucket?
Let's see if it'll be one more bucket. Yes, it'll be another Malik Rose bucket. And here he comes.
The difference in the game has been points in the paint, which is a result of the lack of perimeter defense for New Jersey, and then the foul trouble, which has plagued the Nets throughout.
And Rodney Rogers knocks down a 3. Man, has he been huge off the Nets bench.
Literally and figuratively.
Exactly. He should be the unstoppable force. He should be the difference. But Rodney Rogers, unfortunately, has a long and well-chronicled history of inconsistency and underachievement.
Rose, let's see, he's ball. Officials have a chat. It'll stay with San Antonio. Jason Kidd has checked back in. Anthony Johnson will go out.
Kenyon Martin into the lineup as well. Richard Jefferson to the bench.
They're tied for the 3rd time in the ball game at 29 with 8:12 remaining in the first half.
I'll put Malik Rose on my all-human Red Bull team. The energy that guy brings to the game. A guy like Mark Madsen. These guys are just all over the place.
Look at that play by Jason Kidd.
Robinson almost had the steal. Kenyon Martin, he draws a double team. Harris open. And now Martin keeps it alive with a rebound.
Foul on Rose.
And Malik Rose gets his second foul.
Wonderful job by Kenyon Martin of keeping his arms up in the air. San Antonio is playing a lot of zone defense. Wisely so, because Mutombo and Kenyon Martin are not the type of players that want to flash to that free throw line. It's been very effective for him.
Tim Duncan, only 3 shots from the floor.
That's a big one. You look at the 5 points, but it's not like 2 for 9, 2 for 8. He's 2 for 3. He's just not getting as many touches as he should.
Kidd behind a pick from Martin, missed the jumper. He wanted a foul on Parker. Trying to tell the official that as he backpedals defensively. Robinson, nice feed into Duncan. Blocked by Mutombo. And the big fella goes to the floor. Timeout call. And his teammates rush out to meet the 36-year-old who's seen limited duty. And 36 might be giving Deke a break. They might have rolled back the odometer a little bit, I think, on that media guide. I don't know.
All I know is I don't know if there's any truth to the rumor, but they had to use a whole can of Rust-Oleum on him. And he's right there. This is what he does. Block shots. And you don't see him get after it like this very often, but that's what this means. NBA Finals, haven't got a chance to play very often. You put me out there, I'm going to give you everything I have. And when you see a 7-footer going on the ground, that's some heart and desire.
As you take a look from floor cam, and Bill, how about the reaction after that hustle play by Mutombo? That might have been even more important from his teammates.
The way this team has come together. When would you ever associate the word team and New Jersey Nets in the same sentence? But what Byron Scott, Rod Thorne, Eddie Jordan, all the guys, Jason Kidd, now Dikembe Mutombo, like San Antonio, they bring in character guys. And you can never discount the association between character, hard work, and championship success.
Right now they're tied with San Antonio at 29. 7:25 remaining in the first half. Rogers missed that 3. Kenyon Martin keeps it alive. Jason Kidd's alone, but he feeds Martin. Mutombo got it away with an offensive foul, and Rogers got it in close.
Good night.
The New Jersey Nets fans in attendance here jump out of their seats and say, yeah, Deke, throw one down.
If this were boxing, his mouthpiece would have flew out of his head.
No doubt.
Good grief.
But look at the hands and the wings spread by Dikembe Mutombo. No passing angles past that.
Parker, the dish to Robinson, and a finish by the Admiral.
Everybody will say, Dikembe Mutombo gets spaced up there on a dunk. How about some guards denying penetration? Helped out some of these big guys who were helpless back there by themselves.
Kid's been quiet since the first quarter as he had the first couple of baskets. Kenyon Martin slams the miss.
What timing. That ball was coming off so far, and he was so high above the rim to throw it down with his left hand. Remarkable.
He gets up higher than the crowd at Woodstock. It's unbelievable.
Bill would know about that.
No idea what you guys are talking about.
Out of bounds to New Jersey.
I mean, is there anybody that gets up higher, quicker, and stronger than this guy? I mean, he reached across the rim with his left hand.
He was going to his right and reached back to a ball that was going to bounce outside of the paint. The perimeter shooting continues to be a nightmare for Byron Scott and the Nets.
Bowen picks up his second foul.
Greg Popovich up off the bench, yelling, pointing at his temple, saying, think.
Greg Popovich, the coach of the year this season. Tim Duncan, the most valuable player. It isn't that often that the same thing happens in the same season. Duncan's been very, very quiet.
So Bruce Bowen, not a good stretch there for him.
Under 6 minutes now. Nets by 2.
You got to pick and choose if you're saying it's nice.
Good knee. Blocks. Kittles went up and had it blocked.
Spurs never blocked the ball out of bounds.
Kenyon Martin with a steal coming right back the other way.
Nice passing.
Rogers around Robinson, but he had to adjust too much. And David with a rebound. Ginobili. That's one of his shots, that reverse layup, but he got stretched out pretty far on the baseline.
Dikembe Mutombo is playing ball.
You don't need to have guys that like Dikembe over in Argentina? Like, this guy's pretty long right here.
Got to take in it for Martin.
And he does.
This is what it's going to have to be if New Jersey's going to win this series. Kenyon Martin saying, I'm the best player in this series.
Robinson, great pass on the baseline to Jackson.
The big man's ability to stand out at the free throw line, knock down jumpers, initiate offensive dribble handoffs, and more importantly, lay those perfect dimes on the back cut.
Think of the plays and the hustle we've seen from the two big guys who've been around a long time, Mutombo and Robinson, already in this first half.
Got to take it here, too.
Martin, left hand blocked by Robinson.
Well, if you wait too long, that allows the other big man time to get over and help.
Back to Robinson, trying to throw it, hit the back of the iron. He gets it right back from Jackson. Score, David Robinson.
Well, he's going circa 1992 right now.
David Robinson has had so much trouble finishing games after he's gone out. He's been fabulous in the start, but right now he's playing magnificent basketball in all respects.
Rookie of the year in 90, an MVP in 95. In his final game for the San Antonio Spurs, he's just tied it up.
Winning a championship, you understand the climb, you understand the journey. David Robinson, center, San Antonio Spurs. For me, that's the most important, to understand that we made the climb, that we came together, that we overcame all the challenges, because after 14 years, you find out there's a whole lot of challenges. And I think that that's kind of what we all live for.
14 great years for David Robinson, playing 38 years young right now. That block shot, and then offensively on the other end, finishing 8 points for him right now. A guy who's been an MVP and knows what it takes to get here, playing somewhere between his 4 final games for San Antonio.
The only award he hasn't won in his career is the MVP of the All-Star game. Like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, so difficult for the center. Now, granted that Tim Duncan won the MVP of the finals in '99. David Robinson did not get that, but in those days, whenever David Robinson went to the bench, even though they had the great stars like Sean Elliott, Avery Johnson, the team completely fell apart when David Robinson went to the bench in '99.
And I think, you know, you talk about the MVPs and the championships, he's probably more proud of having the Community Assist Award named after him. The David Robinson Award. The guy's conducted himself with nothing but class, on the court, off the court, given $9 million to his school that he's building, the Carver Academy. I mean, this guy he's a guy that you watch the game and you watch as a kid, that if you model yourself after David Robinson, you turn out better than just all right.
We were there the night that Commissioner Stern gave out the Community Assist Award that will be named after him for the rest of time, and he just got his 6th rebound to go with 9 points.
The zone offense for New Jersey leaving a lot to be desired.
Duncan fouled as he went up. As Tom said earlier, it's going to be a 3 ice bag night by the time it's over for Tim Duncan.
Oh, just a nice pass. I mean, that's a small window right there. We're just playing together for a couple of years. You have an idea where your big man's going.
Tim Duncan from the free throw line. Coming up on the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report, Lisa Marie Presley live. Ahmad Rashad will have a Jason Kidd feature, and Mike, Sean, and Doc will break down this first half. Lisa Marie, a big hit single, and she'll have that coming up at halftime as Kerry Kittles knocks in a 3.
Finally, something from the perimeter. Get into the paint, draw the defense, and then kick it out.
What does it come off of? Missed free throw.
Ginobili had Jefferson get on him in a hurry, and now takes about 3 steps with no traveling violation. His Kidd had a hand on it.
Kenyon Martin is everywhere.
Duncan off the glass.
Well, they're certainly letting him play.
39-38. San Antonio in front with a little over 3 minutes in the half.
We got a mismatch against Kidd.
Kidd over Duncan. Missed badly. Comes straight to Jackson.
Always the weakest part of Jason Kidd's game, coming to the floor tonight. For a moment.
Jackson. Offensive foul.
I got to see that one. First of all, I wouldn't have called it, because he just broke someone's ankles right there, Kenyon Martin.
Instead of the basket, Jackson picks up his 2nd foul. Spurs still on top, though, with 2:52 remaining first half.
The NBA Finals on ABC, brought to you by Coors Light. Cold down, easy, rock on. Chevy trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. And American Express, the official card of the NBA.
Back at the SBC Center, Spurs lead by 1. We'll be with you for the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report. Sean Elliott and the Orlando coach, Doc Rivers. Give me your headline thought on the first half so far.
David Robinson is playing great basketball right now. He's blocking shots. He's rebounding. He's trying to cram everything in the paint area.
Yeah, the Nets aren't taking advantage of the Spurs turnovers. 8 turnovers by the Spurs, only 2 points for the Nets. I think that's big.
Jason Kidd feature, Ahmad Rashad, Barry Melrose, John Saunders, Lisa Marie Presley, the 3 of us, all coming up on the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report. Brad, see you then.
All right, Mike, as long as you don't sing, we're safe.
How long is that halftime?
I don't know, a couple hours. Jason Kidd hit the first 2 buckets for the Nets. He's over 8 cents from the floor.
Oh, foul trouble, points in the paint deficit, and outside shooting is killing the New Jersey Nets.
Nice feed to Kenyon Martin over Tim Duncan.
There's just no reason once he leaves. If he leaves Earth and you're still on it, don't jump. Just don't. You're not going to beat him to the rim.
And when you think of how he shattered his leg in college and how he can still jump right out of the gym. Ginobili on a runner. Here comes Jason Kidd.
Run with him. Stuart Scott was mentioning that Richard Jefferson called for a foul, pushing Manu Ginobili out of the way. Mental mistakes by the New Jersey Nets.
So another guy with 2 fouls in Richard Jefferson. There you see the 2 at the top of your screen.
That's just 2 guys tangled up.
Yeah. I mean, with what they've been letting go down underneath the bucket, I have a hard time believing that's a foul.
Nets leading 40-39. Tim Duncan on a back in on Kenyon Martin. Rose came up with the offensive rebound somehow. Jason Collins is wondering how.
We keep talking about the things that the Nets have done wrong, and Jason Kidd missing his last 8 shot, and they're ahead.
Parker gives up a shot. Ginobili won't. For 3. Got it! And the Spurs climb back in front by 2 with 1:35 in the half.
Kenyon Martin has to be very careful not to pick up a foul in the last couple of minutes.
Collins almost got one of his own as he runs over Ginobili, but Ginobili picks up his second.
Well, this guy's been shooting lights out from beyond the arc during the playoffs. 43, 44%. And then on the defensive end, he sees it. He just can't quite get there in time.
Collins' first point right there. Collins can tie it up for us again for the 6th time here in the first half.
Jason Collins has just not had the impact in this game that he had in the earlier series in the Eastern Conference.
Well, he had some great rebounding games against Detroit.